Allen Company, 47 years young and a proud sponsor, wishes OOIDA all the best as you celebrate 50 years.
OOIDA, representing America's truckers since 1973, presents Landline Now with your host, Scott Thompson.
A newly finished project in Wyoming has had professional truck drivers at front of mind since the very beginning. We'll spend some time getting to know the I-80 Winter Freight project today before checking in with a Canada-based carrier that's doing some really cool stuff on social media with fun and educational content. After that, the trio of S.J. Munoz, Jamie Jones, and Ryan Witkowski of Landline Magazine cozy up to the mics in Studio A to hand out roses to folks who have been doing good things for truck drivers and the industry, and raspberries for those who are making life just a bit harder for them. And then finally, we wrap things up with a trip down memory lane in honor of OOIDA's 50th anniversary. If you're old enough, you remember a time when 55 miles an hour was the speed limit for all of the U.S., but that's a distant memory now, and we can thank the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association in part for that. OOIDA President Todd Spencer stops by to talk about what it took to get the rule tossed aside. But first, the news with Ashley Blackford.
Thanks, Scott. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg will be in South Dakota next week. According to a U.S. DOT press release, he will be highlighting federal investments in truck parking. He's expected to visit a major I-90 improvement project that includes new truck parking spaces. While in South Dakota, the secretary is also expected to announce additional critical investments in highway safety. Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association President Todd Spencer will be present at the event on Tuesday. A public information session was held this week to discuss Missouri's I-70 expansion plans. KRCG reports that the state will design, construct, and add a third lane in each direction from Kansas City to St. Louis. MoDOT's I-70 program director Eric Kopinski said Columbia is in the best position for the start of the project.
Our schedule is driven on what we call shovel ready. So what environmentally do we have cleared? Our pavement analysis or safety analysis, utility coordination, right-of-way, acquisition. This Columbia to Kingdom City project was the most ready to go.
Kopinski said MoDOT's research shows adding a third lane will improve travel times. He added that the highway agency will provide more details early next year on construction schedules, travel times, and potential delays. A truck driver who is deaf received $36 million last week after a jury in Omaha determined that Werner Enterprises violated anti-discrimination laws by not hiring him. Omaha World Herald reports that the company issued a statement this week expressing disappointment with the verdict. The article states that the company said it is committed to safety and to an inclusive workforce and that it is evaluating options for appeal. According to WIBW, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission announced that the jury awarded Victor Robinson $75,000 in damages and $36 million in punitive damages. Robinson is deaf, and the commission indicated that the truckload carriers failed to hire or make accommodations for him for a truck driving job in 2016. $1.2 million worth of cocaine was recently discovered in a tractor-trailer at the Pharr International Bridge in Texas. U.S. Customs and Border Protection said that on September 1st, officers encountered a truck arriving from Mexico. A CBP officer referred the vehicle for further inspection that included using non-intrusive inspection equipment. Physical inspection of the tractor-trailer resulted in officers extracting 41 packages of alleged cocaine weighing a total of 96 pounds. Port Director Carlos Rodriguez said the criminals continue to attempt to exploit the cargo environment to smuggle illegal substances into the country, but he added that CBP officers remain vigilant and use available tools and resources to find and stop smuggling attempts. The narcotics and tractor-trailer were seized and an investigation is underway. A police officer in Salisbury, North Carolina, is being hailed a hero after he rescued a truck driver whose truck had caught fire. WSOC reports that the August 8th incident was captured on body camera video. Lieutenant Corey Brooks witnessed the tractor-trailer hit a retaining wall on Interstate 85 and catch fire. Brooks realized the driver, Michael Williams, was unconscious and still buckled into his seat. Brooks recalled what happened with WSOC.
I was thinking either I'm going to die in here with him or I got to get him out of here. And when it hit the wall, it just it scared me because it's not every day you see a tractor trailer hit a wall that fast.
Once Brooks got the driver out, another person came to help and they were able to escape to safety. The truck driver was taken to a hospital and Brooks said he's recovering well. There's a new weigh and inspection station in Maryland. The Maryland State Highway Administration and state police recently announced the completion of the new Conowingo truck weigh and inspection station in Hartford County. $5.8 million in renovations went into the U.S. Highway 1 truck weigh and inspection station in Darlington. The original Conowingo truck weigh and inspection station, which consisted of an office trailer, was built in 1996. Site improvements were made in the early 2000s. The facility closed in December of 2020 to allow for geometric and technology improvements to begin. The new weigh station was completed in July, and it's fully operational as of this week. Some of the improvements include a wider entrance, more parking spaces, a new static scale, and more. The I-10 Pequot Lane interchange project is now in its third and final stage. BR Proud News reports that the $126 million project in Louisiana will consist of a few different projects, including widening Pequot Lane from a 2 to 4 travel lanes between Perkins Road and Airline Highway, replacing Ward Creek Bridge, and constructing on-off ramps to open a diverging diamond interchange, the first of its kind for the state. The diverging diamond is described as similar to a roundabout but more modern, minimizing left turns. According to the Department of Transportation and Development, this makes interchanges safer. Some Fruhoff trailers are being recalled after issues with the tire pressure monitoring and regulating system. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Fruhoff is recalling nearly 800 composite dry van trailers, model year 2025, that are equipped with the Tire Pilot Plus tire pressure regulation system. All 8 tires may experience a loss of tire pressure while driving faster than 45 miles per hour. Tire pressure loss while driving can cause a loss of stability and control or tire tread separation, increasing the risk of a crash. As an interim action, owners will be instructed to disable the Tire Pilot Plus system. The final remedy is currently under development. Notification letters informing owners of the safety risk are expected to be mailed sometime this month. A second notice will be sent once the remedy is available. And finally, it's safe to say we've all at one time or another enjoyed sitting back and watching a movie, but a guy in Pennsylvania has used his love for the cinema to claim a world record. UPI reports that 32-year-old Zach Swoop went to the movies 777 times in a one-year period from July of last year to July of this year. Swoop said he saved on movie tickets to his Regal cinemas by signing up for Regal Unlimited membership, which allowed him unlimited trips to the movies for $22 a month. The movie fan said he would see up to 3 movies after work on weekdays and squeeze in more during the weekends. According to the article, the record attempt was aimed at raising awareness for mental health. Regal Cinemas celebrated the record with a $7,777.77 donation to the American Federation for Suicide Prevention. That's Landline Now News for today. I'm Ashley Blackford.
Thanks, Ashley. Dozens more truck parking spaces are coming to Interstate 80 in Wyoming, and it's the result of the state DOT there listening to the concerns of professional truck drivers. We cover the I-80 Winter Freight Project next, right here on Landline Now, so please do stick around.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want more content, go to landline.media to get updated news, information, and archived editions of our show. Once again, that's landline.media.
Firestone tires are for more of everything. more miles for every tire dollar, and more confidence in your fleet. At Firestone, we help fleets save with dependable value. Find your local Firestone dealer today at firestonetire.com/dealer.
Ready to make more money? Use a better load board. For a limited time, get 50% off TruckStop Load Board Pro. Just go to truckstop.com/go and enter promo code READY2023 when you purchase Load Board Pro.
Welcome back to Landline Now. We've got two stories for you now. One surrounding a newly finished project in Wyoming that has professional truck drivers at front of mind, and it comes with a couple of hundred truck parking spaces to boot. Then we'll check in with the Vice President of Operations at Canadian-based carrier ET Transport, a company that's doing some creative things with social media to educate and entertain. But we start in Wyoming with Andrea Staley of the Wyoming Department of Transportation. So thank you for doing this, first of all. We appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're talking about the I-80 Winter Freight Project. This is about 3 years of work that we're talking about here. Finally done. Obviously a big project, and it had and has, I guess, professional truck drivers in mind. Just tell us exactly from the start what we're talking about here when we talk about the I-80 Winter Freight Project, what exactly it is.
Well, the Winter Freight Project actually started as sort of a safety project for our commercial drivers on Interstate 80. As many know, driving on I-80 in the wintertime in Wyoming can be pretty treacherous. We just wanted to address some concerns that we've heard from our truckers about appropriate truck parking spaces. But then also we added some climbing lanes to help traffic flow on I-80. It is essentially a mountain pass, so you do get steep grades. So we just wanted to make sure that it was safe for our commuters and also our commercial drivers. And we've been able to successfully provide more truck parking, nearly 200 spaces, one at Quealy Dome, which is going to be at mile marker 290, just west of Laramie, and then at our Fort Steele rest area, and that's going to be at mile marker 228, and that's just shy of Sinclair, Wyoming.
I love that you said that you were listening to the concerns of professional truck drivers, and that's what kind of got this whole thing started. That's refreshing to hear. I know there's so many great state DOTs out there, and they are listening to truck drivers and the concerns they have and doing what they can to, address those concerns. In this particular case, can you talk a little bit about what concerns they were relaying to you? Was it specifically about truck parking? And obviously winter is a big aspect of this. How did that all kind of come together and, these concerns? What was expressed to you?
Absolutely. Well, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but Wyomingites are pretty hardened to our winters here. We don't have just the, mountain passes that you have to drive through, but we do have, unfortunately, along I-80, a very windy corridor where it just kind of becomes a vacuum. We get 80 to 100 mile per hour winds consistently, unfortunately, in the wintertime. And when snows mixed with that, it drops the visibility to just about zero. So we want to have a safe space for our truckers to be able to pull off when they are encountering that type of weather pattern, so they can wait out the storms, reduce crashes on our interstates, and just keep everybody safe. So it had been an issue. I do know that the development of this project happened way back in 2018. We were able to get the funding in 2020 and bid the project. Then we got Simon Contractors to do the work for us, and we're happy to report that it's been wrapped up and it should be available for the winter season for our commercial drivers.
You kind of touched on it there, but you talked about the impacts of not having something like this in place, and obviously winter being unforgiving. I imagine you were encountering, or a lot of truck drivers were encountering places and environments where they just had to pull over and essentially wait out a storm. What exactly did that look like, I guess, not having this project in place?
Right. So what that does to it has a large impact on our communities. Wyoming is a fairly rural state. We have, communities dotted along the interstate, but they can reach capacity quite quickly once we do close the interstates, and then that causes us to do what we call a rolling closure. So if a community is overwhelmed, they don't have enough resources and facilities to accommodate the increase of people, pause there while, the interstate is closed, we will have to roll it back to the previous community. And that can have impacts because that road can be completely clear, but that community, let's say it would be Laramie, doesn't have the capacity anymore to handle any more vehicles. So then we would have to roll the closure back to, say, Cheyenne or something. And it can have a large impact once we even open the highways. People get restless and they see the roadway is fine, but we just didn't have anywhere to put, our truck drivers safely. So we now with these parking lots are able to at least alleviate that issue a little bit. We're hoping for this coming winter and winters to come.
Yeah, clearly, there's a convenience or inconvenience, I guess, aspect to this, a supply chain aspect to this as well.
Right.
But this really is, as you said there, about safety. And I imagine that you and your colleagues there at the Wyoming DOT have looked at or maybe even done some studies that delve into the effect of the absence of something like this, of truck parking, especially over the winter months. And this is something that literally could save lives. Quite literally in a number of ways. That takes priority, I think, over everything, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yep. We've had studies done all the way back from 2008 that recommended an I-80 safety project of this type that we needed to address, because I-80 is a very heavily trafficked commercial lane from the east to the west coast, and we want to make sure that we're able to accommodate that. We don't want to, close unnecessarily for our commercial drivers. We understand how important their services are, and they're putting their lives out, on the line just simply by doing their job. So we want to make it as safe as we can, at least in our state, for them. We do understand the complications that come with the winter driving at the higher altitudes. I believe that we have the highest point on I-80 is just north of Laramie, and that's nearly at 9,000 feet. So it is going to be, a different type of driving. We want to make sure that everyone's safe while they're, on our section of the interstate.
Our thanks to Andrea Staley of the Wyoming DOT for speaking with us. Now we hand the keys over to Jamie Jones, managing editor of Landline Magazine, who recently spoke with Ronan Gilkarov, vice president of operations for the Canadian trucking company ET Transport. The company has a big following on social media, and it stands to reason why. It's all due to ET Transport's informative and entertaining content, as Jamie found out.
Well, just tell me a little bit about the ET Transport channel on YouTube. What kind of content you produce. Just kind of walk us through what you do.
Yeah, sure. So, ET Transport is our YouTube channel. We have YouTube. We have a TikTok channel, a Facebook channel, and Instagram channel. We just create videos to empower truck drivers to create awareness, to talk about things that are happening in the industry, the good, the bad, the ugly, just uniting North American drivers through our platforms. With each platform, we have a different target or different types of videos that go up. So for the YouTube, for example, we have more of the longer videos, more educational videos. Our TikTok platforms are more, skits and shorts. So they're more 1-minute videos. And then Facebook is kind of a combination of the both of them.
So you guys have been at this, just looking at your YouTube channel, about 5 years now. How has the content needs evolved over that time?
So the channel has been active for 5 years. It was more of a, once our fleet got over 100 power units, it was kind of hard to individually call drivers with updates, with weekly updates or monthly updates. So what we started doing is more just recording an update and then sending it to all our drivers, or things that are happening in the industry like Blitz. So we would have to call the drivers individually, let them know what's happening or what they're looking out for. So at some point it got hard. So we started doing these videos, but I didn't set these videos on private. So I started creating these videos, and then I had comments from, all over the US and Canada, and also comments from all over the world. So then I started creating a little bit more, videos more not just towards our drivers, but more towards, drivers in general. And then there really was a need for it. I saw through the comments. It really, really picked up. So we've actually only been doing it for about 2.5 years now.
Oh, to the public, but you've been doing the entire channel. So it was a unique and clever way to communicate with your fleet drivers initially, but you saw a broader use for it and moved on to the public realm.
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha. So you started off on YouTube, then you added, what was next?
So we started off on YouTube, and then as you start creating these videos on YouTube, then you think to yourself, okay, why just, when you upload it, why are you just uploading it to YouTube? You could be, gearing towards a different market on Facebook. So we started doing YouTube and Facebook. And then probably midway through, TikTok came along, and it was just more funny reels and shorts. So why not get to drivers, get to them or to watch the channel or to be a part of it, more through these skits and these funny comedy like skits. And it's really relatable content where, a skit between a driver and a dispatcher or a driver and a mechanic. And these are actual things that happen between, drivers and mechanics and drivers and dispatches. And it's really like, we pick at like annoying things or things that, drivers hate because people find it a lot more relatable because, other drivers can relate to the content that we produce.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important because too many times when drivers first enter the industry and get their first job, they don't have a good grasp of what they're really going to face. And, I think with this process that you have, developed with your social media platforms, do you feel like that has also helped in reducing turnover where people come into a job and then go, oh, this wasn't what I was expecting?
I think that we've kind of built and created awareness that through the interview, like once they're being interviewed, what the right questions to ask. And I think it kind of limits the amount of drivers that go into companies that are not the best for them. So yes, I feel like it has helped. These educational videos have helped drivers that once they get their license and they go on, one or two interviews, or when they're talking to recruiters over the phone, they know what to look out for because we actually play it out in some of our skits.
How fun is that, putting together those skits of the things like that could potentially be predatory in nature to expose that? I mean, do you have to get some enjoyment out of educating people on the pitfalls?
So educating, I love it. I never bash anybody on my channel, and even when I know that companies are doing things that are not 100%, I never expose people's names. Even drivers that send me over their paychecks to their review. I do a lot of reviews of paychecks, on the channel where I just take people's that are in predatory lease agreements, where drivers are making, 1/3 of what a company driver would make, where people are 100% taking advantage of them. I won't expose these companies or say anything bad about them. I just try to create the awareness out there, and I try to guide drivers on, what to look out for or the good companies that are out there.
Right, the educational aspect.
But I do get a joy. I do get a really big joy from creating those skits. Yes, I have a good time doing it.
Yeah,
Me and the team, we have a lot of good time doing it.
So if our listeners want to check out your channel or find you on social media, just kind of run down your different platforms and let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, so just on any platform, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, just type in ET Transport, and we will come up.
Our thanks to Ronan Gilkarov of ET Transport for his time. You can check out their presence online if you get a moment. Lots of good stuff there. And our thanks to Jamie Jones of Landline Magazine for helping us out with that one. We've got a break coming up fast, but Landline Now is back right after this.
Forget miss accuracy, weigh your truck on a cat scale. When you weigh on a CAT scale, you get a no excuses guarantee. You can now save time weighing by using your smartphone. Find out more at weightmytruck.com.
Since you started, what you've loved about trucking is the freedom. Heading out on your favorite route, a good driving song, and thinking about truck insurance. Well, maybe not that last one. That's why we're here. At OOIDA, we have a full range of truck insurance products, expert advice, and great customer service, helping you get the right coverage for your operation. Go to OOIDA.com, because your job is to drive. Our job is to help with everything else.
Landline Now, welcome back. Has your senator or congressman made you happy lately? Did the truck stop make you kind of sad? When they do either one, here at Landline, we have a special way of responding.
Ew.
We call it Roses and Razzberries. Staff writer S.J. Munoz keeps track of such things for Landline Magazine and for our program. S.J. is here now with the good, the bad, and the ugly from recent news.
Hello, everybody. We are back with another edition of Roses and Razzberries. I'm Landline staff writer S.J. Munoz, and joining me is Landline managing editor Jamie Jones, as well as Landline staff writer Ryan Witkowski. How are we doing today?
That was easy for you to say.
Yeah,
I'm doing fantastic.
I like your as well as.
That's why it's just Ryan after we get to the first intro. I only want to try to say it once. No offense.
That's fine.
I live in that world too. So yeah. All right, looks like we're ready to get going, so I believe we have some roses to get to. Not much, no one feels like they're talking today.
Well,
so.
no, I was just sitting here going, I can't relate to this. My name is Jamie Jones. Yeah. I mean, does it get any more white bread than that?
Nope, not at all, actually.
All right, so about that rose.
Okay, all right. Yes, and honestly, we really don't do these very often, but these roses are for a senator who came to the rescue of a truck driver in Chicago. Now, according to WLS-TV, Illinois State Senator Willie Preston noticed several people capturing video on their phones.
Which that's what you do when there's a emergency or some kind of chaos these days. We got to get the video. It never happened without the video.
Right. So we've got people capturing video on their phones while he was driving. He was driving through the south side of Chicago, okay? He quickly realized what was being filmed, and there was a truck on its side smoking, and the driver was still trapped inside. So fortunately, Preston had the common sense not to grab a cell phone, but to grab a tool out of his truck and to go break the window from the cab of the truck to free the driver. Now, he also made sure that the driver was safe before he left the scene and everything was okay. But yeah, he grabbed a useful tool as opposed to his cell phone.
Well, that's a useful tool too, Jamie. Let's not undersell the cell phone. But along those lines, let's follow that one up.
Okay.
Because I've got something similar. Roses for another rescue effort. This one out of Arizona. An NBC television affiliate in Phoenix posting a TikTok video that showed several construction workers who used their work equipment to assist a truck driver who was trapped after a rollover crash. Now, they had the benefit of having things in their hands already, so...
Well, and heavy equipment,
In the video, though, which had more than 5 million views...
Oh, there's the video. Yeah,
In this case, we're glad there was a video, but also more glad that people helped, while this guy was just TikToking it up.
5 million views at last check, by the way, in that video. The construction crew rushing over to the overturned truck removed a door from the cab and then pulled the driver out. All indications are that the driver is expected to recover from the broken ribs he sustained in the crash, but the witness who shot the video, Dylan Ludlam, told the Phoenix TV station the construction crew was even hoping to send the driver some beer as a get-well present. So look at that. Nice guys all around. That's my kind of crew.
It sounds like it.
Speaking of a few cold drinks, you might need a few after this raspberry here. All right, according to a report from the American Road and Transportation Builders Association, more than one-third of U.S. bridges need major repairs or should be replaced. Not a good situation there. Of these
one-third,
yeah. That's not exactly calming as I drive over.
Not at all. Of these 222,000 bridges that are in need of repair, nearly 77,000 should be replaced, and more than 42,000 are in those poor conditions.
You got to wonder what is poor.
Yeah, that's
condition.
kind of a vague generalization there, but it does make you wonder anytime you're crossing one. Is this one of those poor or is this a replace?
Yeah.
And those structures are actually crossed by 167 million motorists per day. So obviously big number and a lot of traffic on these
Point
bridges.
of concern.
Yes,
you bet.
definitely. So the American Road and Transportation Builders Association estimates that it would cost more than $319 billion to make all the needed repairs to these bridges. The good news is that states do currently have access to $10.6 billion from the 2021 Infrastructure Investments and Jobs Act, and another $15.9 billion will be available in the next 3 years, as well as $12.5 billion is expected to be awarded through the Bridges Investment Program. So we're a little short if you do the math there, but at the same time,
$40 million available.
Yeah, we've got like 40. Yeah, 40
we're about a tenth of the way there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But at the same time, I mean, we got something cooking, I suppose.
God,
Look
we're
at the
start selling
positive
candy
here.
bars or something.
Well, states have already committed to more than 2,000 bridge projects, and the number of bridges in fair condition also has continued to grow over the past 5 years. So just, I guess, have a little positivity there, but definitely a lot of work needs to be done on those bridges.
I'm with you guys, though. We need like digital signs on bridges that state the condition of them going over, so I can at least have an idea in my mind of what a poor condition bridge is, because I would assume there's a lot of them here in Kansas City.
I mean, what would you do? I mean, you're especially you're on the interstate, you're cruising along, you go in the clip and this bridge is not ready.
You're going to turn around and find another way around it, or are you just going to floor it?
I'm not going to make plans around it. I just want to know.
I mean, I get on a sketchy looking bridge, and I swear to God, I hold my breath.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like that one going into Louisville.
Oh, that one.
That's got to be on the poor list,
well,
right?
I'm not going to advise driving over the speed limit, but I know in this situations like this, if I'm traveling with the family or another passenger, I definitely talk more than I would be on the rest of the trip while you're like just trying to focus on something else while you're crossing that bridge. The conversation picks up a little bit. Yeah. Got to get those final words in just in case.
Oh, my word. That's grim, and we're laughing. Oh, my gosh. All right, moving on. If a certain... Oh, this is one of my favorites right here. Just wait for it. All right, we have got a group of large fleets that if they get their way, trucks crossing bridges will all be speed limited, okay? So Razzberries to the recent mega fleet to speak out, in opposition to the Drive Act, the Trucking Alliance. The irony here is that while the Alliance supports the speed limiter mandate, which they claim 98% of their member trucks use speed limiters, the 11-member group, these 11 motor carriers, totaled 3,481 speeding violations in the past 2 years. So your speed
that
limit...
2% of their group's really dragging the numbers down.
Right? So, I mean, here we've got speed limiters, but they're still getting speeding violations. And you know where those are happening? On those construction zones, on 2-lane highways, and all of these other places. So it doesn't mean that they're any safer just because they're speed limited. And they also had a combined 3,406 crashes that were determined not to be non-preventable. So,
that's a good way of putting it,
It's a lot of jargon. Basically, they could be avoided, is what they said.
Well, I mean, safety is usually the thing that's kind of, the veil. But you look at these numbers, and that's just kind of incredible, the amount of speeding and crashes.
It's not exactly a ringing endorsement for their whole safety argument. We're on to you. I mean, speed limiters lead to fewer miles and less pay. So that has to be the motivation behind it. Speed differentials are dangerous. Speeding is speeding. It doesn't matter if it's in a 50-mile-per-hour zone, a 60-mile-per-hour zone. I don't know. If you don't believe it, I mean, really, just choose to be ignorant. And I'll say it again, over 3,400 crashes and tickets since 2021.
Less than 2 years. I mean,
it's 2 years time.
Yeah.
And this really got you worked up this week.
Oh, I've been fired up.
Well, always happy to provide some roses, though, of this type any chance we get. Love's has opened several new locations over the past week. Canyon City, Colorado, Cotulla, Texas, Opelousas, Louisiana, and my personal favorite, Jackpot, Nevada.
There had to be a Jackpot, Nevada, right? Like, how could there not be?
There absolutely. Between the 4 stores, though, more than 250 parking spots are being added, along with hundreds of jobs and the usual updated amenities, including cat scales, showers, laundries, and plenty more for drivers. Also, and SJ, this is right up your alley. Fat Dogs Travel Centers in the midst of
What are you trying to say here?
In Nebraska. It's Nebraska. That's your area.
I got you, yeah.
So, yeah, they're located along I-80 in Nebraska. They have opened several, but the Wilkinson Development Corporation, which owns the chain of travel centers, announced new locations in North Platte, and in Lexington. The company is also currently developing a huge facility, a 9-acre location at the intersection of Interstate 80 and U.S. Highway 281 in Grand Island. So that's going to be the company's biggest store. These locations are looking to add nearly 300 truck parking spaces and an array of trucker-specific amenities. In a statement, CEO Mark Wilkinson said, quote, "These locations represent more than just new facilities. They're a testament to our ongoing dedication to Nebraska's communities and the countless travelers and truckers on I-80. And so, for those wondering, by the way, Wilkinson, his nickname was Fat Dog growing up as a kid.
So he's leaning all the way in on it.
He really is. So hence the name Fat Dogs Travel Centers. I'm not sure I would have let that nickname go on as long as Mark did, but
it's a term of endearment.
Tip of the cap to you, Fat Dog.
Well, just west
Doesn't
of those...
even sound good when I said it that way.
All right, just to the west of those new Fat Dogs, we have some more roses. And this is for the official opening of a truck parking facility in Wyoming. This is off Interstate 80 at mile marker 290. There are now nearly 200 truck parking spaces available between this facility and the parking that's offered at the Fort Steele Rest area. A federal grant actually helped fund this project. That also included a truck passing lane. This was to increase safety and traffic flow on the steep inclines in this area, as well as 12 miles of wildlife fencing. So going to keep those deer out. So that's kind of a nice thing to probably not have to worry about dealing with that. Not that the trucks really care. Drive right through them. But neither here nor there.
It's still an insurance claim.
Oh,
it's still an insurance
dark
claim.
and roses and raspberries this week.
All right, well, reducing the number of crashes and operating costs for trucks, searching for parking while also offering drivers a place to wait out poor weather conditions were kind of the purpose of this project. That was according to the Wyoming DOT. So, again, more parking, good to see, and also some safety things being addressed there.
Well, and when they look at it critically and all of that, and those fences, it always reminds me of the joke of the woman that said, "Why don't we move the deer crossing signs?"
Yeah.
How do the deer know where to go, right? Yeah. We should just put these where they're crossing.
If only everything works like that. There'd be a lot of sign moving out there.
All right. Well, it looks like we have time for one last raspberry. And this one's a little on the out of left field variety, okay? New York State enacted a fuel tax suspension in June of 2022 that remained in effect through the end of the calendar year. Nice enough, right? However, the suspension did not apply to local sales and use taxes on purchases of motor fuel and highway diesel, according to the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. So, long story short, those suspended taxes from the third and fourth quarters of 2022 are still owed and must be paid in order to maintain a proper IFTA filing. So, you start seeing those taxes being waived, and it's always like, who's going to screw it up?
Well, you see the word suspension, and you're, just in general, you're thinking, okay, I don't have to worry about it. But, I mean, this kind of shows the importance of just staying on top of your business dealings in addition to what you have to do on the road driving.
Well, and it happens so infrequently that there are suspensions that I can see why people would get surprised. Landline spoke with OOIDA Life member Dick Seafang, who's based in New York, and he described the whole situation as blindsided. In fact, the 53-year industry veteran learned of the issue only through a letter to one of his drivers. Seafang then called association. Perfect. Yeah, no kidding. He then called the OOIDA president, Todd Spencer, to do his part to inform other members in the industry. I'm sure that would just make someone's day.
I'm glad they checked the mail. What if that letter doesn't get you, and then you build upon the time of that bill adding up, and then it hits you even more out of nowhere. So it's kind of not the ideal situation, obviously.
It really is, and we've run into this in the past. The best example that I have is when Katrina and Rita hit. We had several states that waived fuel tax collection to make sure those relief loads were coming through and everything, but they didn't waive IFTA, and we started calling them out on it, and they're like, what's this IFTA thing?
That's what you want to hear, right?
Yeah, one agency doesn't even know what the other one's doing. So when in doubt, just go ahead and call if you're wondering if it's really suspended or not.
All right, looks like we're out of time here, but thanks for joining us for this edition of Roses and Raspberries. For Jamie Jones and Ryan Witkowski, I'm SJ Munoz. Landline Now will be back after this quick commercial break.
Control your toll costs and eliminate tolling headaches with Prepass Tolls. Prepass Tolls means toll volume discounts. Just one invoice for all tolls and fewer violations. Call 877-878-5970 or go to prepass.com.
Attention all truckers, Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I want to talk to you about those dreaded tax problems. I know you want to keep on trucking and not even think about them, but let's face it, they're not going away all on their own. You need professional help. I've been helping truckers put their tax problems in the rearview mirror for years. I can help you too. Call me now for a free consultation at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com. It's like I always say, keep your eyes on the road, I'll keep mine on the IRS. 888-557-4020.
It's tested and proven. Burn 2.1% less fuel when you balance all wheel ends with Centromatic. Call 800-523-8473 to get the OOIDA discount. Landline Now. Welcome back. It's time for another of our 50 on 50. 50 significant events from OOIDA's history in celebration of the association's 50th anniversary.
So we've got a big one today. Scott Thompson here, joined in Studio A by OIDA President Todd Spencer. Todd, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
And we're talking today about OIDA's efforts to end the national 55-mile-per-hour speed limit. This takes us back to the year, actually, OIDA was founded in 1973, when the national maximum speed law went into effect, brought on by the oil crisis that year, also a parallel there to OIDA's beginnings. Different times, Todd. Take us back to 1973 and when all this got going. Do you remember how it all looked back then?
Oh, I remember it. I remember it all too well. And we talk about we have challenges today. Believe me, there's always been plenty of challenges for truckers, the little guys anyway. And certainly, we saw more than our first fair share of them in the early 70s. After the Arab oil embargo, when fuel prices went up, and suddenly the focus on energy conservation, things like that, became real. And one of the great ideas that policymakers in D.C. came up with was if we could slow these cars down, cars and trucks, they'd be a lot more fuel efficient. And that certainly, there was some truth to that for sure. Prior to, pretty much the history of automobiles and, to a lesser extent, to some extent to trucks too, but they were always built for more power and for cars, more speed and da-da-da-da-da. Fuel economy was never an issue because fuel prices were always, realistically dirt cheap.
Sure.
Yeah. I can remember gasoline and diesel fuel that you could buy for 20 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
So
different times.
Oh, very much different times. But anyway, lawmakers did it basically they determined in D.C. that that we needed to have a national 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And the way they would do that was basically they told states that you either reduce your speed limit, set your speed limit to a maximum of 55, or we end up cutting your highway funds off.
Yeah. And a lot of states did follow, but some also didn't follow.
Well,
right?
There was some creativity in terms of how they how they enforced the lower speed limits.
Right. Yeah. Creativity. Yeah.
Sure. Because, again, this was a widely unpopular law with drivers everywhere. And it basically, it wasn't followed.
Yeah.
It was really the worst of all worlds when it comes to highway safety, because what you had then, and we have idiots that sort of want to go back there now, but you had traffic that was actually rigidly obeying 55,
and those who weren't,
and those who weren't,
yeah,
and those who weren't might be going a whole lot faster. So our first real dose of all of the crazy interactions that can take place, and how that could have an impact on highway safety. Anyway, this was a controversial issue. Most drivers didn't like it. It went on for years and years and years and years, and without really, with gradual opposition to trying to maintain it. And one of the things that, the feds required states to demonstrate compliance. And they had to demonstrate 50% or greater compliance with the law. So one of the things that states would do is they would go out there and measure traffic speeds. They would measure traffic speeds at the top of hills, not the bottom, at the top.
It's kind of
where
smart.
motorists would be most likely to be going slower. All kinds of creative ways to do that. And again, that was a federal hammer. And little by little, opposition to keeping that rigid thing in line was building. And again, this was basically every state had adopted a 55-mile speed limit by about 1975.
Yeah.
And
it lasted that way for about 20 years, right?
It did. And while it was something that we always made an issue of with lawmakers, not everybody was on the same page. And of course, it was one of these issues that lawmakers didn't necessarily really want to deal with. So, and lo and behold, there was another organization, and it's the National Motorist Association. And this is a group that's been around for a long time, and it's basically made up of driving enthusiasts. I used to refer to them as, this is the AAA for people that actually like to drive, that actually have fun driving. And they're around today, and they still do some of the same things. But basically, they had somebody in D.C. working on getting rid of the 55-mile speed limit, working on the Senate side. And, to give you an idea about how crazy sometimes things can be in D.C., they were able to, they found some senators that were receptive, and lo and behold, it was one of those things where the Senate actually did something.
A different time.
They crafted some legislation, didn't deal with anything else, just a speed limit, and lo and behold, it went to the floor, and the Senate repealed the 55-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And we thought, holy crap, here is the opportunity that we've been waiting on. Now, there was no similar legislation in the House. So the only way it could happen is if we could get a provision as part of a House appropriations bill, a transportation appropriations bill. If we can get that included there, then this thing can go through. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because the chairman of the House Transportation Committee said he didn't want to see any kind of speed limit legislation attached to a spending bill. But pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure, finally he relented, and lo and behold, it got through. Now, I mentioned earlier that in 1975 or 73, when this law was first implemented, no one supported it. By 1995, the American Trucking Association, their president at the time said, I can't think of a more wrong-headed thing to do than for them to do away with this maximum federal speed limit. But got her done anyway.
Yeah.
So got her done anyway.
Yeah.
And it was a big, 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 big victory for real truckers and real drivers.
For everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, and where we are right now, we believe, this speed limit stuff, we're going to get another shot at it. We're going to get another taste of the speed limit stupidity if, in fact, there is a speed limiter rule that comes out of FMCSA. And we believe, OOIDA, that they don't, while they may think they have the authority to do that, we don't think so.
Yeah.
And we're willing to challenge them in court. So,
which is what we're seeing from the legislation in now the House and the Senate, right? With this idea of it being a states' rights issue.
Very much so.
You brought up the speed differentials, back in the 70s. That's exactly what we're looking at here.
Yep.
Again, history repeating itself, maybe.
History repeating itself. Let's be smarter this time. But, we're going to take it on. We'll go to battle. We'll go to war on this one, baby.
Absolutely. Hey, Todd, always a pleasure. We'll see you soon. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That was another of our 50 on 50. 50 significant events from OOIDA's history in celebration of the association's 50th anniversary. We'll bring you a new entry every week from now until the actual anniversary celebration.
Our thanks to Todd Spencer for joining us today, and our thanks to you for listening and for all you do to keep America moving. We've got another show right around the corner tomorrow, so we hope to see you then. Either way, until next time, take care and drive safe out there.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want more content, go to landline.media to get updated news, information, and archived editions of our show. Once again, that's landline.media.
I'm a dad,
a son,
a husband,
wife,
I'm a writer,
photographer.
I farm.
I'm a veteran.
I love old cars, fishing,
my kids,
chrome,
and I am
a professional truck driver.
And together we are OOIDA.
OOIDA was founded by truckers to stand up and speak on behalf of truckers. We've done that by combining the individual voices of our members into a single, powerful voice. Protecting your interests, defending your rights.
Join us! Make your voice heard. Join OOIDA, the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association. Call 1-800-444-5791 or visit ooida.com.